feel like the energy levels are up today. Well, I don't know. I mean, Aiden's over there smiling. If Aiden's smiling, we're all smiling, right? No, okay. Well, oh, John Daniel's smiling too underneath the mask, I feel like. Yeah, it's hard to tell. I wouldn't know either way. Okay, well, hello everyone. Hope you guys had a great week. Is my mic on over there? Awesome. Alrighty. So, matter. Hang on. Let me send out the live stream link real fast. For those who are not here, who may want to join in. If you're not a part of the Remind group, now's your chance to join if you want to get the live stream link. If you don't want to get the live stream link, well, then just be here instead. Hey, I got a chuckle out of that one. That's cool. Hey guys, this is the process every week. Hey guys, get in now. This is just a command. We're not even throwing out anything. Just a command. All right, we're focusing on. So let me flip this over to the right screen and we'll get started. Sorry about wasting everyone's time here. There we go. For those of you unaware, we have a Havra next. Yeah, the excitement. Anyone want to match Anna's level of excitement back there? 2 weeks from now. The winner gets the cash value of $1 million worth of joy and happiness. And you can't quite put a price on that. We had a prize last year. It was like Target gift cards. It was like Starbucks or Target gift cards. But we're bringing new challenges this year, new and exciting challenges. We're revamping some stuff. We'll bring back some of the old favorite puzzles too. Some of the ones that you guys think you've cracked, but we'll put a new twist in there. And I'll also bring back Garrett List's favorite of eating an entire sleeve of saltine crackers while right after running the entire length of a mountain. Basically, that was mean. We did that one year. No, got to run the mountain, then eat the saltines before you drink any water. Yeah, I was mean to them. Yeah, there's been a couple of good ones. It's like, I mean, we do get to experiment with some things like how far can you go with something while it still remains fun before it becomes torture? And we like to ride that line of stress. Last year, we tried to make someone like make a disc golf putt from like 30 yards away. Yeah, I tried to make it. There was no guidelines on how far, and so it was just like, well, how far can we go before they can't make it anymore? Yeah, Aiden carried. A couple of people carried, but you know, it's gonna be fun. We'll have a bunch of different challenges. It'll target your mentals, your physicals. Yeah. And maybe even your arts. We'll hit all three like areas: the arts, the sciences, and the physicals. Yeah. I don't know. And the biblicals. Yeah. A bunch of math problems. No. You get to do Garrett's homework for the weekend. That's your final challenge. For those of you guys who don't know, Garrett is in a bunch of terrible classes that no one should ever do right now. So, as a mechanical engineering student, so he would probably love it if you guys did his homework until he got all the wrong answers, and then. But anyways, all right. So that's 2 weeks from now, 5 to 8 p.m. nighttime Havra. We're bringing back the darkness. That sounded bad. We're bringing back the nighttime Havras, which means maybe they'll even be hide and seek. We finish fast enough. Who knows? We did not finish fast enough last year.
The books of the Bible in the paragraph. That was the hardest one. That was the worst
by like an hour and then walk because of that.
Wait, what?
There was a team. One of the teams was way out ahead of the other one. We got to that one.
That was just fun too.
This is our favorite Havra to put on in the entire year. It's probably either this or the Purim one, to be honest. The poem one, we get to bully you guys because we role play as characters. All right, so moving on up. Today we will be talking about. I got rid of my title slide. Oh well, doesn't matter. Title slide unimportant. Amazing Race is more important. Today we will be talking about Matthew 7, verse 15, and this is really just like the topical verse to get us kicked off and started. Mainly, we'll be focusing in on false teachers and more or less, actually, kind of a media literacy lesson. I like to talk about, and we'll dive into what that means, what media literacy is. It's an annoying term that sounds smarter than it is, but we'll dive into that. Yes? Oh, way to go. You should be prepared. All the right questions, all the right answers will come from you then, right? Expect you to talk a lot. Okay. All right. So, without further ado, John Daniel, why don't you read this nice and loud for us, Everett?
Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's open up with a word of prayer. Thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to come before you and study your word and to dive into it. Lord, help it, us all to just learn something, to apply it to our lives, Lord, that we just might know your word and be good testimonies of you. In Yeshua's name we pray. Amen. All right. So, we live in a pretty fun time to be alive. We can communicate pretty much instantly and have access to, an insane amount of information. Some really silly information that we have access to is, for example, did you know there are 70,000 species of trees on the planet? And they estimate that there's probably 9,000 more that they don't know about. You did not know that, Katie. I'm sorry. I'm just going to call you out on it. You did not know that. Also, other information you can find, less scientifical. Taylor Swift's 1989 is her best-selling album. And it has sold 14,332,116 copies. Other information you can find out is a lady named Maria Branyas is the oldest person currently living at 116 years old. We hope she's still alive as I read that sentence. Every moment is a fleeting moment. You can never be too sure. Yeah, got to cherish every second. Okay, that was true when I wrote this last night. I did not check this morning, see if it's still true. Yeah, it was true at the time of writing. To the best. Yeah, with all this information available, we see something called media literacy at an all-time low. Now, what is media literacy? Katie, what's media literacy?
I forgot.
It's okay. I wrote it down in expectation. Media literacy is the ability to critically analyze stories presented in the mass media and to determine their accuracy or credibility. Basically, in layman's terms, it's like whether or not you can tell if something's real or not when you read through it either online or in a book. The most common example you'll see is something with like Photoshop or movies. Like maybe a elderly person or maybe a really young person who would see this image and be like, "Oh my goodness, T-Rexes are back. They're here and they're attacking Jeeps." When any person with any sense of media literacy be like, "Oh no, that's just a poorly CGI'd machine." You could probably fool someone who was born in like the 1940s with this image, and they'd think, "Oh my goodness, they're here and they're taking over. Jurassic Park is real. Movies don't exist." So knowing something like, "Oh, a movie is a thing that exists as an art form and isn't real," would be an example of media literacy. Being able to tell that's a movie, that's not an actual photograph of a T-Rex attacking a Jeep. It's Jurassic Park. It's the 90s. Everything was ugly in the 90s.
That's why I watched Jurassic World. No.
I actually think this might have been from Jurassic World, but that's the car from Jurassic Park. Okay. All right, nerds. Sorry. I'm kidding. Jurassic Park is great. Which one? All three. Wait, you're talking about the 3 original ones or the 3 new ones? Okay, that's good. That's better. The 3 new ones were kind of didn't. Yeah. All right, we're not getting into that discussion though. Now so we can see obvious examples like that. Even this week, I heard some chatter about it actually before we started class. This week we have a more obvious and kind of funny version of media literacy, which I'm sure if some of you guys saw it. Oh, hang on. Let me go back. Some of you guys heard of or all of you guys have phones, so I'm sure you all got the message on Wednesday at 2:19. They sent it like a minute early, and sorry.
We got it at school and we were all in the big heart thing, and so all the kids are like, keep it running, so like all the kids are being really loud and talking, and then there's just the alarm.
Yeah, so we had that go off, and I would say the normal reaction would be like, oh, this is a test message. If you read any sort of news outlet, everyone was pretty well alerted of, oh, it's just going to be a test message. They're testing their alert system. But less media literate people probably thought otherwise, and so we get fun examples like this. We stand to the side here. It loads.
Just jump into it. Starting with, if you're watching this, it is probably already too late. The zombie apocalypse has begun. Because if you were near a cell phone, a TV, or radio at around 2:20 p.m. Eastern today, you heard what they said was an emergency alert. What they said was FEMA conducting a routine test of its nationwide alert system, something they justified as something they've done every few years for a long time, as it's legally required to do, with claiming that even the part that pinged all cell phones having been tested once before, and that none of this was new. But in the months leading up to today, true patriots knew what was going on, with them spreading the word on social media, and it exploded. For example, the Telegram channel called the Patriot Voice, telling its 50,000 followers that the vaccine contains sealed pathogens, including E. coli bacteria and the Marburg and Ebola viruses, all of which can be released by an 18 gigahertz 5G frequency. So people start spreading the word that the Marburg virus is going to turn people into zombies. But then you also had a spirituality influencer with 170,000 followers each on Instagram and YouTube saying the signals would activate graphene oxide or other nanoparticles put inside your body by the vaccine. Now, scientists and non-crazy people say that graphene oxide is not in the COVID vaccine, and saying even if somehow there was, it's unclear how you would activate it. As far as the nanoparticles, they said those are just lipids or fats using the coated material, and again, they weren't sure what activating would actually entail. But luckily, we also had some radical independent thinkers and people who researched themselves saying, hey, this test is going to do something with an RFID tag inside of your body, because Bill Gates put microchips in the vaccine. So luckily, as all our brothers and sisters were getting the truth out there, Patriot Glenn Beck got to a microphone and suggested that the FEMA test and a rumored Russian nuclear evacuation test coincided at the same time. And others, like this pastor in Hawaii with 300,000 YouTube subscribers, vaguely suggested that a created crisis would follow the simulated crisis. And I'm gonna stop there because my brain's hurting from trying to talk like these people aren't crazy. I mean, conspiracy theorists having a field day. That's really what we're seeing here. Though even the conspiracy theorists weren't all doom and gloom. For example,
So that's it was some of the fun we had this week with the emergency alert system, and you might think, well, that's really silly. How do you fall down that rabbit hole? No, it's because people don't know how to source correct information. They see something that looks like a real article, and to me and maybe you guys, we all know how easy it is to create a blog and a fake website that looks like a real news site, and then put something in like the format of a newspaper and be like, hey, this is a thing that's happening. Joshua Liss is buying the Carolina Panthers for $2 billion, and then all of a sudden everyone will be like, oh my goodness, that's great news. And then no one's questions like, wait, does Joshua Liss have $2 billion? Probably not. Maybe you're doing well for yourself. I don't know, Joshua. I'm not going to speculate on your funds, but I'm just going to say probably not likely. Okay, so we see stuff like that circulate all the time, and even on whether it's Twitter or Facebook, you'll see unsubstantiated rumors thrown around that people start to treat as facts. If you're in the Swiftie world, the world of Taylor Swift, there's people who are Taylor Swift fans are basically the unhinged conspiracy theorist of teenage white girls, or I guess college-aged white girls. They are doing deep dives and saying that she had a fake relationship to set up the relationship for her current Travis Kelce thing because they didn't want everyone to swarm on Travis Kelce right away. There's a bunch of stuff. I got into a rabbit hole deep diving because I was so fascinated by the people going through these like conspiracies about a singer and their relationship. It was just like, why would you waste your time on that? Why did I waste my time on consuming the content? I don't know. But it's fascinating. And people just make unsubstantiated claims all the time without anything to back it up. So how are we going to tie this back into the Bible? We're pretty far off the rails already, but we're going someplace. Might not be a good place, but we're going someplace. We see the issue of, false teachers and people who spread lies exist as old as time almost. And in fact, it was talked about quite a lot in the Bible. What a surprise. So we're going to start there, back with our original verse of Matthew 7, verse 15, where we get the warning. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous and wolves. So Why are we talking about this? Well, it's important that we are able to identify, much like how we need to identify real news and fake news and whatever type of news, we should also be able to identify real theology and, false teachings. Some pretty famous false teachers out there, some quite successful, actually. My favorite one to always talk about is Joseph Smith, because he's like the most fascinating person in history to me, because his idea of the Bible was whatever I wanted in the moment, I could just write and add into the Bible, and then there we go. Oh, I'm bored of my wife. Let me write that God told me I can take a new wife. That's like how Mormons became a polygamist back in the 1800s or whatever. He just discovered random documents in a backyard and was like, these are sacred texts. More than likely, he made up those documents. There's also a thing like he bought just some random thing from a trades cart and then said it was an ancient piece of papyrus that validated everything he had to say or whatever. Really fascinating guy. One of the more interesting characters in American history. So Joseph Smith, founder of the Mormons, pretty famous and pretty successful false teacher. But he's a false teacher. How do we know he's a false teacher? Well, we'll get to identifying one later. But let's just talk about the warnings of false teachers and why we're warned and what are we warned about. So there we have our first verse, Matthew 7:15. We also have Matthew 24:11. We're going to work our way around the room. Katie, I imagine you have a Bible. If you don't have a Bible on your phone, feel free to go get one from the rack over there. If not, everyone turn to Matthew 24:11 with Katie, but Katie will be the one to read it out loud. Whenever she gets there, the pressure's on. Each moment is a... Sorry. You good? Yeah, go for it.
And many false prophets will rise up and mislead many people.
Yeah, pretty straight to the point. So how many false prophets will there be? Many. All right. And what will they do? Yeah. So my version, which a lot of the verses I have in here are from the ESV, simply because I guess that was the fastest way I could copy paste it all. But nonetheless, will lead many astray. So next we have Romans 16 verse 17, which is a verse we'll also come back to later. But Kimberly, why don't you grab that for me? Romans 16 verse 17. Everyone want to flip through it?
Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which you have learned and avoid them.
So what's that command there at the bottom, or at the last word, 2 words? Yeah. So we're to avoid people who cause divisions. Mine says, watch out. Watch out.
Mine says keep your eye on them. Keep your eye on them.
And who are the people who are keeping an eye out? People who cause divisions and create obstacles. And obstacles what? That are contrary to the doctrine that have been taught. We also have, in another verse, Colossians 2, verses 8. Aiden, pull that up for me. Read it real nice and loud with your loudest possible voice.
See to it that there is no one who takes you captive to philosophy and every deception, in accordance with human traditions, in accordance with the elementary principles of the world, rather than accordance with
Yeah, so we're not supposed to let anyone, capture our thoughts with philosophies or anything, which I'll digress on that point a little bit. There's a big scene in the podcast world. A lot of people are like giving out life advice, and usually it's mostly filled with a bunch of grifters. And the type of life advice is pretty interesting. It varies from, you have financial life advice. Those guys are usually running Ponzi schemes. They want you to sign up for something. Like, you can get rich in 10 different ways, in 10 quick, easy steps, if you just follow my plan and give me all your money. And then others are like, they're I guess, dating advice podcast. Usually it's targeted to young men, not unlike